and welcome into the Wheelhouse here, Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle, switching up gears a little bit here on this week as we are coming to you on Christmas Eve on a Tuesday of all places. So we are switching things up. We are festive. Mark has his hat on. I have my ugly sweater on. We have lights and a Christmas tree in the studio, so we're feeling good. Mark, how are you?
Festive. I'm feeling festive. Fantastic. Can't wait. Santa's right around the corner, man. Doing great. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Are you done with everything? You have any last minute things to get taken care of?
Always got that last minute shopping, but
Yeah.
You know what? This year was way better than last year. We're gonna bump and scrape to the finish line, though. How about you?
Yeah, I usually start honestly in October, but I did run out. Yeah, I did run out yesterday to pick up a few gift cards. So
Nice.
And yeah, you do not want to go to stores like on December 23rd or 24th. It is crazy out there. Yeah, it's like in one of the movies we're going to talk about. Going out shopping last minute is something you just do not want to do. Speaking of which, we have a fun-filled show for you on this Christmas Eve. Once again, go and like and subscribe all of our social media pages, Facebook, X, Instagram. Make sure you subscribe and like our YouTube channel as well, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music as well. And go to our home base, e5280sports.com, and you will find everything there, as well as articles, blogs, all of our audio, all of our video on there as well. And don't forget to check out Between the Lines with our newest teammate, Katie Mack, as she breaks down everything from the world of sports from the previous week. So she is on our front page as well. So go check out her new show, also Tailgate Talk, which is every Friday. Her pod comes out. But like I said, fun-filled show for you today. We're going to do our list, just one list, at least a little bit different. We will still encapsulate all of our top sports stories in fire and ice, and we are going to, let me find the intro there. Let's kick that off right now. Fire and ice.
It's now time for Fire.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
He's on fire.
I'm the only one a burning desire. Let me stand next to your fire.
And ice.
Ice Cube, baby.
You're as cold as ice. Ice, baby.
All right, fire and ice, kind of our who's hot, who's not list over the past week or so in sports, and it could really come down to anything. Mark, you are the guest today. Where do you want to kick things off?
Hey, it's wintertime. Let's start off with that ice, huh?
Start off with that ice. All right, we've seen so many already of these Major League Baseball contracts, which ironically, some of these deals are in our fire list as well, for the hot stove fire. Get it? And I mean, for example, the Juan Soto deal, Mark, was just freaking outrageous. I mean, he got 12 years, $765 million. What does that equate to? Like 52 per year. It is just sick and ridiculous. And
$100,000 a pitch. I think they gave him downtown Queens, probably the New York Zoo.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane. Some of these guys are getting. Walker Buehler left the Dodgers a couple of days ago, and he only signed a 1-year deal with the Red Sox, but he signed for like, was it 21.05 million 1 year, 21 mil to throw
a nice
baseball.
little payday. Yeah, 21.05. Nice little payday going to a team that's teetering being a contender.
Yeah, I mean they had a down year for sure, and in a division where the Yankees now are just trying to throw money at everybody and everybody. They also bring in Paul Goldschmidt. I'm assuming Anthony Rizzo isn't returning if they're bringing in Paul Goldschmidt to play first base. Could be a DH option in there as well.
Speaking of Rizzo, what do you think? Do you think he was really injured? I mean, he was like 0 for 75 or something during that stretch. I don't
Yeah,
know if he was really injured.
I don't know. He's doesn't seem to be in their future plans, obviously. So we will see what kind of markets out there for Anthony Rizzo moving forward. But I mean, yeah, some of these deals, Mark, has just been. I mean, speaking of Paul Goldschmidt, he only signs a year with the Yankees, $12.5 million.
He's Jock Peterson, 37 million, 2-year deal going to the Rangers.
Crazy. It's crazy out there. Should have played baseball.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like they're handing out money. The Mets, I don't know. I just feel like the Mets do this every couple of years where they kind of appear to go all in, and then they kind of fade out.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
this is what they kind of did with Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, and I don't think either of them finished the season with the New York Mets. Verlander eventually found his way back to Houston. Yankees also signed Max Fried to an 8-year, $21 million contract. It's crazy out there.
yeah,
15-year,
and
by the way, for Juan Soto.
and the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers being the Dodgers, one does have to think if we're actually going to have to talk about bringing caps. I mean, I know a lot of people have been fighting it for a lot of years, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's getting bad out there, and I guess we could have put why the NBA ratings are so low as well. But I wanted to get to these MLB contracts. So, yeah, I mean, they're just throwing out money. I mean, you can even see other athletes from other sports tweeted out or whatever and said, man, I should have played baseball. You know, I mean, hell, the New York Mets have a Bobby Bonilla Day where they still pay the dude millions of dollars.
Isn't that coming up?
Yeah, I think it's almost over.
I mean,
Well, I celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day privately, so it is.
hey, that guy's a winner in my book. Always will be. He was paid 20 years after he retired.
If you're still getting paid by a team that you haven't played for in 20 years, take it, man.
Winning.
Winner.
And baseball, let's be honest, that's the only sport where you really, I mean, I guess besides golf, I mean, you can get paid a lot of money for just swinging a bat. I mean, you really don't. Nowadays, you don't have to play defense with the DH role. You don't really have to worry about competing for a job if you can actually hit the ball. You can show up to the ballpark and really just swing a bat. I mean, that's really what they've nailed it down to.
Yeah, and you just kind of mentioned it, and the universal DH saved a lot of jobs probably by bringing that to both leagues. Now you don't even have to worry about, I guess, the strategic part of baseball and having a pitcher hit the ball, attempt to hit the ball. Now, like I said, you could throw a Paul Goldschmidt out there who maybe not be as what he used to be at first base, throw him at DH. Hell, I mean, David Ortiz is, a Hall of Famer, probably most likely a DH. We saw Edgar Martinez get in as a DH, so it's revolutionized.
Well, I mean, and
Some
look
of
at
these guys'
Otani. Otani, when he went down, Bryce Harper, when he went down, strictly DH. So they did that with Soto for a little while. They did that for Stanton.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably
yeah.
saved a lot of careers. So there you go. All right, Mark, number 2 on the ice list. A lot of people were kind of mad and aggravated that some teams got in, some didn't get into the college football playoffs. So day 1 goes by, and some of these, I mean, everyone was banging the drum for SMU. They didn't even show up.
No.
Ohio State absolutely demolished Tennessee. The Texas-Clemson game was pretty good, and then Texas kind of pulled away there late. They get a 38-24 win. A lot of people are still scratching their head as to why Indiana made it in, as they didn't get blown out, but they got beat by Notre Dame 27-17. Those other scores, by the way, Penn State 38, SMU 10, and Ohio State 42, and Tennessee 17. So, a lot of people banging the drum for SMU, a lot of people still wondering why Indiana got in. Could have maybe threw some other names into the hat. So what was your overall thoughts on day 1 in the new college football playoff?
a lot of people are blaming the expansion. I'm for the expansion. I think it was a nice fresh look to see these other schools in here, but with that expansion, they completely forgot to mix up the schedules during the regular season. So these teams got exposed at the most important time of the year, and I think it's gonna need to take some time. There was a lot of people like, oh, see, look at Clemson. You should have let Bama in, or you should have let Ole Miss in, or insert SEC team here, Texas A&M. Not that I disagree that maybe Texas A&M made or Alabama probably would have made a better look, um, if, than Clemson or SMU. I mean, Indiana. In my opinion, I watched that game, and I think the score was a lot closer than the game. I think they were outclassed and outcoached. Um, there was a couple of bright spots. Don't get me wrong, but if you get these teams to start playing, a Notre Dame when the Notre Dame's on, a couple of SEC teams, um, a, a couple of the top, Big 12, right? I think you're going to start introducing a higher competition earlier, and I think we can really nail down this expansion. Now, my overall thought, I think the first year, yeah, I mean, we got to call it what it is. I think it's a failure. None of those teams showed out, which you're gonna lead those Bama fans, Ole Miss fans, Texas A&M fans. I know I'm forgetting a few. I mean, you're gonna be if you're one of those fans, you're gonna be angry. Hey, our guys could have put on a show, and rightfully so. I get it, but at the same token in time, it's like, hey, it's not gonna be figured out day one, right? We've got to work out some kinks. Maybe we can change some schedule issues where teams are crossing the line a little bit more and playing actual competitors. I mean, like I said, Indiana and SMU were completely exposed. Tennessee, I don't know what happened there. I honestly, and I'm back to the drawing board. I did pick Tennessee. I thought that Ohio wasn't going to be able to overcome that embarrassment to Michigan. Clemson kind of hung on for a little while, but then, I mean, what? At halftime it was over. I quit watching at halftime. The next, I think, 17 points that Clemson got were who care points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just, I mean, like you said, I like the expansion. I like kind of switching up gears a little bit when it comes to the college football playoff system. And they're mixing it in during bowl season. Bowls, I mean, it might as well be the toilet bowl, Mark, because nobody cares about them anymore. I mean, you have you have CU in the Alamo Bowl. I mean, you couldn't think of a more stupid bowl to put them in. Um, although locally here, Mark, in Colorado, Colorado State playing in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, so that's kind of cool though.
That's good. Yeah, that is. I was gonna touch on that too. I'm gonna watch it just because.
Yeah. What is there a reason why Snoop Dogg's sponsoring that bowl? Is it? I mean, because it's not a bowl where you light up. Because does he know that?
No, I have no idea. I was actually gonna ask you the same. I tried looking it up. There was a couple of sponsorship deals that were made, but I mean, ultimately, no idea why. But I mean, it looks interesting, right? Just because of Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
So
and speaking of your neighborhood, I mean, Colorado, I felt made a case to have a shot at the playoffs, and what did they finish? What, second or third in that conference?
yeah, and I guess if you were college football or the CFP or whoever makes these decisions, Mark, I guess if you wanted more eyeballs and some more storylines, you could have threw them in there somewhere. They went from a 2-win season 2 years ago to a 9-3 season this year. Say what you want about Prime, completely turned this program around. Say what you want about Shador and watches and Travis Hunter. A lot of people are still angry that he won the Heisman, but If you wanted more eyeballs and storylines and stuff like that, Mark, you could have
that was
threw
the
them in
team.
there. Yeah, you could have threw them in there, but they almost got what they deserved. They couldn't. I mean, they can't beat anyone from Kansas, so
Yeah.
that was their one Achilles heel this year. Kansas and Kansas State, they can't get past. But, yeah, I mean, I guess if you wanted some more money thrown at people watching, I guess you could have threw CU in there, almost against anybody. I don't know who you match them up with. I don't know what their seating would have been, but I guess you could have. But they're fighting in the Alamo Bowl now.
Well, hey, I'm an LSU fan, and I mean, we're playing in the Kidders Texas Bowl, so I mean,
There you go.
I don't know. I just feel like college kind of turned into Oprah. You get a bowl game. You get a bowl
Yeah.
game. What are you doing in January? You get a bowl game.
I almost want, and I touched this. Matt went solo last week because something's going around because I was sick. Now he's sick, so everyone's touching the sickness bug here. But I said 2 weeks ago, man, I almost want to see college football do what college basketball does. Just set out a big old bracket, and maybe it doesn't have to be 100 and however many teams that college basketball starts with, but just do one game elimination instead of because these bowls are irrelevant now.
Yeah.
I mean, do we even need bowls? Just make a college bracket like college basketball does, and it almost settles everything.
Well, and I mean, look, as far as I can remember, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the Orange Bowl were like the prestigious ones back in the day, and then they kind of, like you said, they got out of hand with it, and now it just, I mean, you're handed a bowl game, and it's like, who cares? I was actually going to bring that up. I don't see why not have a 32 team bracket. I mean, I mean, that does seem excessive. Don't get me wrong, but have I don't know 6-7 weeks to play whoever, get ready for it, right? And have a 32 game bracket. So I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna play essentially the same amount of games if you include these bowl games.
And then after week 12 wraps up, some of these teams have 3 weeks off waiting for their stupid game to start anyway. Like, why are we wasting those 3 weeks?
And not only that, but look at Texas A&M. I mean, they knew if they didn't beat Texas, they weren't going to anywhere and doing anything. So by the time they do hit week 11 or 12, they already virtually know where they stand anyways.
Yeah. So, like you said, though, it's the first year. There's going to be some things to work on, some screws to tighten. So maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe some cleanup will be next year or years from now. We don't know. This is the first year. We're glad they're giving it a try, but yeah, I mean, I just don't understand the bowl season anymore when they're just completely like, if you're a team who maybe should have made it into the CFP mark, I mean, do you turn these bowls down? Do you go there and try to win a bowl? It's just still some things to clean up. We'll just put it that way.
Right. And even if you do go out and you set out to win, which I think everybody should, I mean, you're handed a bowl game as worthless as it is. You got to go out and show out. But at the end of it, if you win it, what have you really won? I mean, some of these teams had a mediocre season and they were handed a bowl game, and it's like, what have you won? If you do get one of those teams that are a bubble team, like CU, like Texas A&M, like Bama, there's a few others out there, and it's like, okay, you won, but it's like, okay, so you didn't win, and and don't get me wrong, I understand Bama lost to Oklahoma. I understand that they lost to Vandy. I get that, but I also hate how easily you could lose everything in college football. It's like, even in the NFL, you get 18 weeks, man. It's like, give them a break.
Yeah. So we'll see how the cleanup goes next year, years from now. But at least they're trying something new. All right, number one in the ice list, Matt, we lost a baseball legend a couple of days ago as the all-time leader in stolen bases in Major League Baseball passes away, and that's Ricky Henderson at the age of 65. Played for almost every team in Major League Baseball, Matt. Obviously, most notably with the Oakland A's a few times, had 4 stints with the Oakland A's. Although, Matt, if you're aware, the next 2 seasons, they're only going to be called the Athletics. They are not associating themselves with any city until they move to Vegas in 2 years. They will be playing at like a junior college in Sacramento somewhere over the next 2 years while their stadium gets built. But, Oakland A's from 79 to 84, the Yankees from 85 to 89, back to the A's from 89 to 93. Toronto squeezed a Toronto Blue Jays in there and happened to just win a World Series while he was there. Also won a World Series with the 89 New York Yankees. Back to Oakland in 94 to 95, over to San Diego 96, 97, up to Anaheim.
That's my neighborhood right there.
Up to Anaheim in 97, back to Oakland in 98, and then he went to the Mets 99 to 2000, traded to Seattle at the end of 2000, signed with the Padres for 01, over to the Red Sox in 02, and finished out his career as a Dodger in 2003. He was a 10-time All-Star mark, 2-time World Series champion, like I mentioned, the 1990 AL MVP with the Oakland A's, Gold Glove Award winner, 3-time Silver Slugger, 12-time stolen base leader, and his number 24 is retired by the Oakland A's. And we mentioned the all-time leader in stolen bases. That's 1,406. Also holds the record for career runs, Mark, with 2,295, and stolen bases in a single season with 130. He was elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2009. Any fond or any Ricky Henderson moments?
Honestly, I just obviously being able to break the record in Padre Uni. One of the times was great to see. I think my favorite story is when who was it? I just had his name. He's a baseball announcer. He was. I was listening to him tell a story about Ricky Henderson when he played, and I think it was it Harold? Is it Harold? Am I thinking of? Yeah, Harold Reynolds.
Okay.
And Harold was talking about it, and it was a season where kind of everybody got injured, and Ricky was one of those guys that got injured, and he was stealing bases, and he ended up winning that season with like 65, I think. And Ricky Henderson called him in the clubhouse after the game, and he goes, "Hey, Harold," and he goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "Because Ricky always talks in third person," and he goes, "Man, that you should be ashamed of yourself. Ricky would have had that at the All-Star break." Click. I think things like that, it's always going to be funny, always going to be awesome. The fact that he spoke in third person, and just the love that he had for the game. I mean, you saw it. It was a hustle every time he was on the base path, every time he stepped foot on the field. Big loss. What a shame.
Yeah, and a little before my time watching baseball, his career ended kind of when I was getting more into it, but all I remember is seeing the video highlights of when he broke one of the records, and he pulled the base out and just holding the base over his head. That was cool to see.
That is Padre.
I guess I didn't realize he played for that many teams, but he did move around a lot, team wise and on the base wise. So a legend of the game is no longer with us. So thoughts and stuff out to his family at the age of 65, still pretty young.
Yeah,
to go at 65. All right, let's switch over to the fire list, Mark. The NFL Hall of Fame finalists were announced. I don't know if it was a couple days ago or when it was, but some of the key names on this list, Matt. One that's almost getting a lot of, I don't want to say scrutiny, Matt, but a lot of flip-flopping back and forth. Eli Manning is on there. Antonio Gates, Aqib Talib, Terrell Suggs, Marshawn Lynch, Darren Sproles, Demarius Thomas, Anquan Bolden, Joe Staley, just to name a few, Matt. But these names were announced just the other day. Any thoughts on these names? Any shoo-ins, if you will?
So one of the shoo-ins I think is definitely Antonio Gates. When everybody talks about the goats of the tight end position, everybody goes to Gronk. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely up there. He changed the way the game's played. He was able to be both the blocking guy and the receiving guy. That's kind of something that always separated guys when he talked about them. When you talk about a Tony Gonzalez or a Todd Heap, back in the day, insert great tight end here. That's kind of what separated them, and that talk with Gronk. But to this day, I don't believe anybody has broken the touchdown receptions that Antonio Gates has, and I think that right there, I think he should be a shoo-in for everything that he did with the San Diego Chargers. I mean, he was there when the team wasn't that great. He was there when the team turned around and AJ Smith single-handedly killed the Chargers, and then the Spanos family moving him out. I think he should be a shoo-in. I think Terrell Suggs is another one. I mean, just talk about a fierce linebacker. He was probably a step below Ray, and not by much. I think he's overlooked in a lot of ways. Steve Smith Sr. We want to talk about someone who had a linebacker mentality as a wide receiver. I mean, my goodness gracious, that man could do some work in the slot. And Eli, I don't know, man. Yeah, the 2 Super Bowls against Tom was huge. Not knocking him. He did a lot of great things for the game, had a lot of great stats, a lot of great numbers, but I think he was also one of those guys. For me, he was kind of like a Steve Young. It was the system around him, that Tom Coughlin system. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I would understand why he would make it in, but then I would understand way more reasons why he wouldn't. Who else? There was another one. Adam Vinatieri. Come on, man. I
Yeah,
don't think he ever missed a big time field goal, right?
yeah. Some other ones: Luke Kuechly, Marshawn Yanda, like you said, Adam Vinatieri, Darren Sproles, Clay Matthews. We mentioned Terrell Suggs in there as well. I'm a flat out say it.
You know I'm gonna go for Clay.
Yeah, I'm a flat out say it, Matt. I think Eli Manning is the first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, two rings, and like you said, the situation that those 2 Giants teams were in, not only knocking off Brady teams, one of them was undefeated. I get that he had a very, very inconsistent career, but I want to say his longevity was there. You got 2 rings to put on top of it. He was a 10-time Pro Bowler. I don't know if he had any All Pros to his name, but I mean, the numbers were there, including interceptions, but
so was Brett Favre, right?
Yeah.
So and like I said, I mean,
played 16 years with one team.
Right. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying I could see both sides.
Yeah. I said 10-time Pro Bowler. He's only a 4-time Pro Bowler. Not only 2-time Super Bowl champion, Mark, 2-time Super Bowl MVP on those teams as well. If you want to know his numbers, he had 4,800 passing completions. Completion percentage, Mark, 60%. TDs to interception, 366 to 244. Passing yards, 57,000. Passer rating, 84.1. So I guess, the numbers are there. I guess since we live in such a ring-heavy society, Matt, Mark, that's what a lot of people are going to be looking at. And, he's got 2 of them.
And I hate that argument. Excuse me. I don't understand it because Look at Peyton Manning. He made it, and he's what, 2 rings, 3,
2.
and he only got a 65% completion rating. So there's not much difference there. You know what I mean? If Peyton made it, then arguably Eli should make it.
Yeah, and maybe they're just like, hey, they're brothers. Put them in. Put them in. Put them in. All right,
Right.
number two on the fire list, Mark. We just kind of touched on it. The MLB hot stove has been absolutely insane this offseason. Obviously, the Yankees and Mets are competing for who can spend and perhaps waste the most money. We touched on Juan Soto's 15 years, $765 million. Max Fried goes to the Yankees. We mentioned Paul Goldschmidt goes to the Yankees. A lot of moving pieces. Cody Bellinger gets traded from the Cubs to the Yankees. I mean, this offseason is one of the more busiest ones in recent memory, at least that I can remember. Paul Goldschmidt, we mentioned, goes to the Yankees. Walker Buehler just signed with the Red Sox the other day. It has been crazy. It's been insane. We mentioned the contracts that are being doled out. I mean, is this one of the more crazier off seasons in baseball that you can remember? Or I mean, not only the moves that happened, the moves that didn't. We had Nolan Arenado block a trade last week, which would have sent him to the Houston Astros. I guess he didn't want to go there. Way more better than where he's at right now with the St. Louis Cardinals. But hey, when you're a certified 2-time platinum glove winner, I guess you can afford to block trades wherever the hell you want to, but he loses his corner infielder buddy and Paul Goldschmidt. So we'll see what happens there. Alex Bregman is on the free agent market as well from Houston. They just traded Kyle Tucker to the Chicago Cubs about a week ago, did Houston. So a lot of movement.
Yeah, no, this is hands down the craziest offseason, in my opinion, at least since I've been alive. As long as I can remember. Yeah, we've had blockbuster moves in the offseason, but I don't think anything like this. And kind of to touch on ratings and everything else, it's like I'm a firm believer that Manfred is one step away from killing baseball, especially with that golden bat rule talk. I didn't like a lot of what he's done with the sport. I'm not a fan of the ghost runner on second and in extra innings. I'm not a fan of the pitch clock. I don't understand why baseball hasn't figured out how to market the sport and market the players correctly. They still have blackouts, which astonishes me in 2024. But things like this, these kinds of moves, whether you hate them or you love them, these kinds of contracts, whether you hate them or love them, the cap salary, I mean, all those things are going to generate talk. It's going to generate some kind of revenue because everybody's going to view into it because they're like, wow, this guy's making what? Whether you agree with it or not, you're going to be watching, you're going to be talking. And once again, this is what baseball needs to market in this kind of frenzy that's going on. Like I said, I think Manfred is one step away from killing baseball, and the answers are right in front of him. You're not going to change people's minds that hate the sport. What you need to do is make people love it that much more that are already involved, and the rest will follow. I think college football proved that this year. Their ratings went through the roof. They showed how electrifying the fans could be, how electrifying the games could be. And I mean, yeah, it's college football. You're not going to get that A+ sharpened skill out of a player, but you're gonna get everything that goes with it in that sport. And baseball is one of those things where you're not gonna be on the edge of your seat every inning or every pitch of the game. But if you can market these kinds of things correctly, I think baseball can come back to life, and I think we can figure it out without having to kill the game with all these crazy rules. So I love this kind of an off season.
Yeah, it has definitely been one of the more not only crazy, Mark, but the money that's been dished out has been absolutely insane. We've seen big contracts in the past, but I don't know to the spectrum of this scale. So it's been a lot of money. been thrown around. All right, number one on the fire list, we have Week 16 has concluded in the NFL, and 2 more weeks to go, Mark. So we have a almost a clear playoff picture. Here's what we have through 16 weeks in the NFL. Matt, I keep calling you Matt. I'm so sorry, but you see there, of course, yeah, of course, Kansas City and Detroit are the number one. And I don't know if we touched on a couple weeks ago, Mark, if you like the new format. I think we did, adding another wild card team into the mix. You see there, Denver and the Chargers hold the and Baltimore hold the 3 wild card spots in the AFC, and then you have Minnesota, your boys, at number 6, and Washington with a turnaround season as well out there with the rookie quarterback. Of course, Philadelphia, number 2. Rams snuck in there, now the division leaders in the NFC West, and Atlanta taking control of the NFC South. So that was an interesting kind of swerve there. Houston taking control of the AFC South. Pittsburgh, Buffalo round out the AFC. So there's a clear picture, Matt. I'm gonna fix it one of these days. But what do you think so far of the more clear playoff picture?
I'm excited. I'm going to touch on the extra wild card. Once again, I know a lot of people can find every argument why it shouldn't happen. You've got so many weeks. You had your chances. I completely understand those arguments. But at the same time, when you got a team like the Falcons, who probably shouldn't be in the playoffs, but they're going to win their division, or, on the other side, you have the Broncos and the Chargers are probably better, in my opinion, than anybody in the AFC South, other than the Texans. But the Texans with a big injury. I mean, you've got these weak divisions that can just sneak their way in there, and it's kind of like a who cares game when they do face somebody. More often than not, they're not going in. You look at the years past with the Steelers, and as a prime example, you got a great coach in Mike Tomlin, who's got a middle of the pack team, but stacks that defense, and then he blows his entire wad trying to get to the playoffs, and then gets blown out because now everybody's injured, and now he's not even 3rd, 4th string quarterback. So I like the extra wild card. I think, like I said, especially with Bo Nix and Sean Payton kind of helping Denver turn things around. The Chargers and Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. If Herbert can figure out how to throw to a guy wearing lightning bolts, I think I'm excited. I think that this is the first year in a while where a lot of mainstream media is going to go ahead and tell you it's the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Lions. I very much think this is anybody's year. The Chiefs really aren't blowing anybody out of the water. I mean, besides Travis Kelce and a couple of key plays, there's no real big offense there. The Lions are so banged up right now. And, hey, I'm tipping my cap to them. As much as I hate to do it, they're still winning ball games. But how many times can you really go back to the well? I mean, look at the Eagles dropping one to the almost slipped up there, to the Commanders.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels, obvious rookie of the year, in my opinion. I mean, having one hell of a season with Scary Terry and company. For me, I'm excited about this year. I think everybody in the playoffs, minus the weak divisions that are going to win those divisions. I think everybody in the playoffs should be saying, "Hey, why not? Why not our year?"
Yeah. I tend to agree with that. I think Kansas City's luck is going to run out, and or their agreement, whatever they have with the referees, is gonna be. I don't know, but it's funny every time they win a game. Those memes or images where Patrick Mahomes is like hugging a ref, the title is the Chiefs celebrating after a win. So I think their luck is going to eventually run out. Detroit, I don't know if it's luck or just their time, so to speak, but they seem to be, like you said, they're banged up, but they just seem to be pulling these games out left and right. So I like to see. I know you don't like to see, and I'm a slightly a Bears fan, Mark. So, but it doesn't kill me to say I'd like to see Detroit kind of run things in the NFC. And you know, we kind of touched on this at the beginning of the year that NFC North was going to be a problem, and you have three teams obviously that are holding steady in the playoff picture. So there you go. And Green Bay, you know, shut out New Orleans last night. That was crazy. The first shutout this season.
I can't believe it took this long. I thought there would have definitely been a few.
Yeah.
There was some mismatches, man, this year, and I thought there would have been a few. But hey, I'm proud of my boys. 34-0. Let's go Pack.
Yeah. So they are snugged tightly there at number 6 in the NFC wild card. We touched on Philadelphia. They drop maybe a crucial game to the Commanders this last weekend. So and the Rams are ramming, I guess, because they just seem to be just hanging around. Arizona, they just let the division go by the wayside. They lose to Carolina in overtime.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a crazy finish. Some teams like Pittsburgh and Houston lost, but somehow still won. So it's been a lot of crazy movement. Denver dropped a big game to the Chargers this last Thursday night. Had the game almost, I don't want to say in hand, Mark, but they had that game, and stupid
It was
penalties.
theirs to lose, and that's what they did, man. It's you went up what 11, 14 and a half?
Yeah, heading into the halfway through the third quarter, you're up, and then just dumb penalties, and it wasn't really, the offense, I guess, struggled, but this is known as a defensive team, one of the top 5 defenses in the league, and say what you will with the league being soft, Mark. Justin Herbert slides. The guy barely touches him, roughing the passer.
It's been a problem all around the league, man.
Yeah,
and I think those they need to come up with a new rule. I'm all about trying to keep the guys safe. Obviously, I mean they've got families, they've got their own lives, they're human beings. I understand. I don't want to see anybody really hurt, but at the same token of time, what the hell is the defense supposed to do? I mean, whether they slide on time or slide late, if I'm diving at tackling somebody, whether I'm on time or not, in the heat of the moment, you're asking these guys to be perfect in an imperfect situation, and then you get 15 yards against you, that can change an entire drive.
Yeah, and you're already flying parallel towards the guy with the ball. How are you supposed to chain? How are you supposed to hold up when you're just parallel to the ground? It's a weird combination. And then the non PI that wasn't called, I guess, on Marvin Mims Jr. The dude wasn't even turned around, pulled his arm down. There's pictures all over the internet of it. I don't know. Bang bang play. You're gonna miss. You're gonna miss a slight arm being tugged down. There's just stupid calls and stupid penalties that really cost them the game, I guess. So that's my rant on Thursday Night Football. But that was a big game for them to lose. Now they get swept by the Chargers this year. So I don't know if it's – and they lost to Baltimore this year, so they definitely don't have any tiebreakers in their favor. But, one more win, they're in. So I guess, celebrate the playoffs for the first time in almost 10 years in Denver.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's one of those things where I understand where you're coming from as a fan completely. I feel that way with the Lions. I mean, I know for a fact we got bent over on a few no calls in the last matchup. Now, don't get me wrong. As I said, even on back to the drawing board, the Packers had plenty of opportunities to win the damn game. Their red zone offense was not atrocious, but not much far from atrocious in that game. With a team like the Lions, they had to score, and those penalties would have helped. An illegal hands to the face on Amon-Ra, an offensive pass interference, a rough in the passer, those would have helped. But once again, Packers had their chances. But going back to Denver, lick your wounds, move on. I mean, I don't see them not making the playoffs. What's their last 2 games, right? They got
Cincinnati and Kansas City.
But
Kansas City might not play anybody. Cincinnati,
and Cincy you should have on lock. I mean, they're they're pretty beat up this year, and I think, I mean, they need a miracle to get in. I don't think their heads are going to be in it. I mean, right now, like you said, take it for what it is. One game at a time. Celebrate yourselves. Make it into the postseason. Get some rest. And hey, once again, I mean, hey, why not? I mean, we're at the point of the season now where, like I said, even with the Chiefs, even with the Lions, even with the Eagles, and even with the Bills, it's like one mistake. I mean, how many times have we seen all of these teams go down in the postseason because of one bonehead drive?
Yeah, and Denver needs a flip of the script, so to speak, heading into the playoffs because they have not beat. They're 1-6 against teams with 500 plus records, Mark. So that's not a good.
Yeah, that doesn't help
And
the
and,
cause.
and everyone in the playoffs is going to have over a 500 record. The only team they beat was Tampa, and they only gave up 7 points to Tampa. Ironically, Tampa smashed the Chargers the week before this one, which
Which was a weird game. I was grilling. It was that Sunday afternoon. I started up my grill. I was like, oh, the Chargers are up 17-13. I get halfway through cooking. I was like, what the hell happened? It's 40-17. That was the most Charger loss ever.
yeah, it was crazy. Crazy. But that's going to do it for Fire and Ice. We're going to turn our attention. We haven't done this in a very, very long time. But if you remember our old days, we used to do this date in jerseys, and we would do a list of our top 5 athletes who wore that number of the day. So, for example, today being the 24th, hey, Ricky Henderson might have made that list. One of our top 5 athletes to wear number 24. But since it is Christmas Eve, Mark, we are going to do maybe not in any particular order because it is hard to place these things, but we are going to do our top 5 Christmas movies on this date in jerseys.
It's now time for This Date in Jersey, where we pick the best athletes who wore the number of the day.
Well, the number's 555-905.
For God's sakes, just give me the damn number!
I choose business ethics.
About 7 or 8.
There's 7.
1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, a 3, a 5, a 4, a 3, 2, a 2, 4, 6, 4, 2, 4, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
All right, this is this date in jerseys, but we're not doing jerseys today. We're going to do our top 5 Christmas movies. Tomorrow is Christmas, Mark. First of all, how many of these have you watched so far as it being the holiday season?
I have watched 3 of my 5 movies. I haven't touched my wild cards yet.
Okay, I've watched all mine, including a couple bonus ones that I might have to throw in here at some point. I don't know if you, let me just throw this, I don't know if you've seen Bad Moms Christmas, but it's hilarious. I don't know if you've seen these Bad Mom movies, with Mila
I
Kunis.
have. They were pretty funny.
The Christmas one I just watched yesterday, and it was pretty funny. So, yeah, it's definitely not a family movie, by the way. I don't know if you necessarily want to watch it with kids, depending on their ages. Just going to throw that out there. All right, Mark, since you are the guest, what are you kicking it? Again, these are in no particular order, so number 5 isn't really necessarily number 5, so to speak. So, where do you want to go first?
I'll start with my number 1. Once again, obviously not number 1 technically, but it's I'm a sucker for the Christmas spirit, and I'm also a child at heart. But It's a Wonderful Life. The original black and white. I love it.
Old school. Yeah, that's one of the OGs right there. That's going back a ways.
It is. And then I got another one, another OG one, The Holiday Inn with Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby, the original I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas scene where he's at the piano and has his pipe and hits the bells and sings. Sucker for that as well. And then obviously Home Alone 1 and 2. And I've already watched both of those. And the Santa Claus series. Obviously the first one's the best, don't get me wrong, but I love them all.
Yeah, they're all
Love
good.
them all.
Let me ask you this: did you dabble into the series on Disney Plus?
Oh yes, I did.
Is that
And I also have two kids, 9 and 6. So that was an extra joy last year when they came out. We got to
is
watch
that
all those when they came out.
that didn't continue this year? Did it get canceled? Do you know?
I don't. I was looking forward to it. I know Tim Allen had another show come up. I forget on what network, but I wonder if the making of that kind of got in the way. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I was kind of looking forward to it to continue because I
Yeah,
felt like they left it open.
yeah, and they kind of switch gears in season two. With Enrique Iglesias,
Oh yeah,
Gabriel Iglesias. I don't know why I
Gabriel
came up with
Iglesias. Yeah,
Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy. They brought
Fluffy.
him in. Yeah, it was season two was funny.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And then my number five is obvious Christmas Vacation. Cousin Eddie, Merry Christmas, Shitter's Full. Love that. I love everything about the Vacation series in general, but Christmas Vacation, it's definitely Christmas time when Clark Griswold finally gets the Christmas lights and he starts to sing "Joy to the World." And then my wild cards, I got Fred Claus one. I absolutely love Vince Vaughn, and I think that movie was underrated. And then once again, I'm a child at heart, so I like the year without a Santa Claus. The Heat Miser and the Snow Miser. Those ones, that one's a classic.
There you go. There you go. We have similar ones in there. As we'll run down my list here pretty quickly. Again, no particular order, but we'll kick it off at number 5 with Elf. Um, always probably gonna be in there. Mark, Will Ferrell.
You almost made mine. I love that movie.
Yeah, so always a classic this time of year. Number 4, the same as you, Home Alone 1 and 2. I got to ask you this though: which one do you like more?
you know, I've asked myself this question, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I think is my favorite.
I was leaning that way. Yeah, especially bringing in. Oh, I forgot the actor's name who plays the front desk guy. Tim
Tim Curry.
Curry. Yeah, always, always funny. And that one, a very young and dapper Rob Schneider in that movie as well.
Yeah, getting
Um,
tipped the gum and then
yeah,
and then gets tipped on the cash. That was classic.
yeah, yeah, always funny. And then the Bird Lady. Um, also, if you didn't know this, she was the foster mother in Sandlot. So some ties
She
there.
was.
Yes. So
Yes, she
I do
was.
not know her name. I apologize, but the pigeon lady in
Yeah,
there
you made
as
it click
well.
for me. I didn't realize that until just now.
Yeah. Yep. Always remember her in Sandlot and Home Alone too. Number 4, or excuse me, number 3, Mark, same as you, Santa Claus. The first one, classic Tim Allen, all the way up until number 3, which was it? It had Jack Frost in it. Martin Short is funny in it, but I thought there was a particular name for it. I can't remember off the top of my head. Number 2, Mark. I'll get your name right eventually. Always watch this time of year, and as cringy as it is, but Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad is just it's just it's just so funny. And
Love it.
I forgot the dude's name who's the next door neighbor. He was on Saturday Night Live for a very long time. He was actually shot and
Wasn't it
murdered by his
Theodore
wife.
something?
What's that?
Wasn't his name Theodore something? What was his name?
Yeah, this is a zero research, all reaction on the Wheelhouse here. But yeah, I think it's like I kind of referenced at the beginning of the show, Mark, that you don't want to go out shopping last minute, as seen in this movie. So
What a classic movie! Like I said, that's another one that almost made my list. I love that movie.
Phil
I
Hartman,
love
by the way,
Phil
Phil Hartman was the next door neighbor.
Hardman. I don't know where I got Theodore from, but I was thinking of Thorne when he was in Sergeant Bilko. I was thinking
There you
of
go.
Major Thorne. But No, I love the frantic scenes of him chasing down the action figure, and then I love the fight scene towards the end when he actually got to be that Turbo Man, and great movie. I love the bomb scene too.
Yeah, Sinbad's hilarious in it as well. And then how about this? A maybe younger and a little bit unknown at the time, Jim Belushi in that movie.
Right. That's right. When he took him into
Yeah,
that
he was.
Santa factory.
Yeah, he was one of the Santa Clauses. All right. Number one on my list, Mark, is Bad Santa. Billy Bob Thornton, hilarious movie. The little fat kid. You want some sandwiches? Always the late great John Ritter in that movie as well. The late great Bernie Mac in that
Bernie
movie as
Mac,
well.
king of
Just
comedy right there.
yeah, just an all around. Again, not a family movie, so I don't know if you necessarily.
Definitely not, but a fantastic film.
Yeah,
I absolutely I love Bad Santa.
yeah, it is. It is one of the good ones that are out there. Wild cards for me, Mark. I just watched one of these yesterday. Gremlins, maybe not known as a Christmas movie, but if you watch it, it's Christmas everywhere.
Yes, it is.
So that's a classic. You don't want to feed the mogwais after midnight. You don't want to get them wet. So Gremlins on my wild card list, along with yours, Fred Claus. Love that movie. Watched it about a week or so ago. Vince Vaughn's good in it. Paul Giamatti, Kevin Spacey in that movie as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Shout out to the space. So we got him in there as well. My chokes in the playoff list, Mark. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go with Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story. I don't see the appeal of, especially the Christmas Story. I cannot get into that movie at all. And both of those teams choke in the playoffs, so they're going to be like Buffalo and Baltimore.
I love it. I do agree on the Christmas Story. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously it's iconic, but I do think it's overrated. So I do agree with you on A Christmas Story. The other one that didn't make it for me, and it was funny because when I was going through it, I was like, I was going through all my movies and I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, dude, and I just absolutely cringed when I thought about it, and I don't understand the appeal for it at all. But the one that kind of kills it for me is, and I wrote it down on my list, the new Grinch. The new Grinch. My kids, it's the one that came out a few years ago. My kids were all about it. Took my son out to go see it when it came out. The Jim Carrey Grinch is the best.
Okay.
It came out 2 years ago. Sorry, it came out 5 years ago. My kids are still watching it, but it's if you Google it, it's called The Grinch. I don't even know who played the Grinch's voice. I was not happy. I felt betrayed. I feel Jim Carrey should be betrayed.
Yeah, a lot of people might be mad that we didn't have Polar Express.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time, so I don't even remember. I know there's a train. I know Tom Hanks is one of the voices.
It was. I mean, I don't know. It's good, but it's not. I don't know. It's not one of those like, all right, it's Christmas time. This is what I'm watching. You know what I mean?
You know, it is funny though that I do watch during holiday season, and there's only Christmas sprinkled in a few of them is the Harry Potter movies. I don't know why I have to watch them during the holidays, but yeah, binge those when I was sick 2 weeks ago. So
love that. No, I agree. For whatever reason, I agree with you. It's gotta, maybe because it's like they choose like the school year, and the school year goes into Christmas. I think that's why. Another one that I don't even care. It's not Christmassy at all, but I have to, for whatever reason, around Christmas time, I gotta watch Star Wars.
there you go. Which one? All of them?
All of them.
Oh,
Gotta binge them.
That's a long weekend.
Yes, it is.
That is that is a very long weekend to get into those Star Wars movies.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I do. Towards the beginning of December, just because got to space it out between 2 weekends.
There you go. So those are our Christmas movie recommendations on our top 5 list. And I added, if you haven't seen Bad Moms Christmas, I do recommend it. It is pretty hilarious. Catherine Hahn, Mila Kunis, Kristen Bell star in that movie, and their moms come and crash Christmas, if you will, for them. So it is one of the moms, Susan Sarandon. So it is pretty funny, and I just watched that the other day, and I don't know if I should put that as a wild card, or it may have to crack my top 5 mark, and that's saying a lot.
I'm gonna have to definitely give it a watch now.
Yeah, it is.
Sarandon, obviously, just a great actor. All the things she's done. Come on.
With who? Mila Kunis?
No, Susan Sarandon.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Mila Kunis too. She's obviously, I think she's funny
nice,
in itself, being
nice
a Family Guy and all the other stuff.
She's nice on the eyes as well.
That too.
And one movie that may surprise you that I literally just watched the other day as well is Christmas with the Cranks with Tim Allen. Have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
And I enjoyed it. The first time I watched it.
Underrated.
Ever.
I think that one's underrated.
And maybe it is. I don't know where to rate it because I literally just watched it. I know it's been out for like 20 years, but I literally just watched it for the first time this last weekend, and I enjoyed it. Tim Allen obviously played his part really well. Cranky dude who wants to go on a cruise rather than celebrate Christmas because his daughter's not there. Great. Jimmy Lee Curtis, funny. I mean, The Neighbors, funny. Dan Aykroyd. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. All great. And, it's funny because that one, Christmas with the Cranks and Four Christmases, almost made my list because I enjoy those movies so much. And I think they're both underrated when it comes to Christmas time.
Yeah.
Another one that I think, I don't know where I would rate it, but Deck the Halls with Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito. You ever seen that one?
No, not familiar with that one.
It's great. That one. I enjoy it. I think it's great. If you get a chance, definitely give it a watch. Danny DeVito plays a guy who's innocent guy and wants the greatest light decorations on his house. He wants to be seen from space, and Matthew Broderick kind of plays, the grumpy. I wouldn't say jealous neighbor, but he definitely does not like his neighbor.
There you go. Yeah, it's always like Christmas movies and Neighbors. Maybe just because it's house decorating and stuff like that. I guess you include your throwing a big Frosty the Snowman up on your roof. I guess that always involves your neighbors.
Kind of thing.
Christmas movies, yeah. Have you seen any of like the, I guess, horror Christmas movies like Krampus and those kind of things?
I've not seen Krampus. I did watch Violent Night. Not that that's a horror, but I enjoyed Violent Night.
There you go. Yeah, if you're a horror movie aficionado, I guess, for lack of a better term, I would say go check out Krampus. Kind of interesting. I guess it's like Santa's deformed evil twin, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, did you watch Dear Satan or Santa? Dear Santa.
No.
With Jack Black?
No, I have not.
Dude, give that one a watch. It was a little cheesy, but it was funny. Kid accidentally writes Dear Satan instead of Dear Santa, and poof, he appears.
There you go. Yeah, you don't want to make that mistake around this time of year.
You can't. That's.
I don't know what you'd get under the tree at that point.
That's a detrimental mistake.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. You don't want the wrong person to show up. But that is going to wrap things up here with a bow on this edition of the Wheelhouse, this Christmas Eve edition of the Wheelhouse. I want to thank Mark so much for filling in and apologize for the name slip-ups, but like you said, force a habit. Very similar names. They start with the same letter. You guys are both Packer fans. It's really not my fault.
Hey, if he's a Packers fan, then I'm not mad at all.
But thank you for filling in on this Christmas Eve. And once again, go check out all of our socials: Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube. Go check out Mark on Instagram as well. And go to our home base, e5280sports.com. All of our goodness is under the tree, all wrapped for you in our website. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. This and many other pods on the network brought to you by Pikes Peak Sports Cards. Go check them out if you're in the Denver, Colorado Springs area. They do a lot of sports card shows. You know, if you like Funko Pops, comic books, and stuff of that nature as well. Go check them out online as well. Check out their Facebook page as well. But Mark, have a very, very wonderful Christmas tomorrow. Or do you guys do anything Christmas Eve? A lot of people do, you know, one present Christmas Eve, or what kind of traditions do you have?
We'll do one present, and my kids are asleep, so it's pajamas. And then we play games, you know, like the Saran Wrap game. We'll play left, right, center, and just hang out for the night. And then Christmas morning, go crazy with the presents, and then we'll start smoking the meat for dinner and just hanging around the family. What about you?
Is it? Let me ask you this: Is again, you may have been in a warm climate for Christmas for a very long time. I am not used to warm temperatures, except for a couple years ago when I had transferred to Florida for work and I got stuck there for Christmas. And it was actually cold, probably the coldest I've ever felt in Florida. I had to buy an actual hoodie to wear. First time I ever wore a hoodie in Florida. Crazy on Christmas. But is it like, are you used to the warm weather on Christmas? Because we're used to like 3 feet of snow and white Christmases. I mean, yesterday it was 60.
Oh yeah. So I used to live in Alamosa, right there in Colorado. So I understand exactly the weather you're talking about. Here in northern Arizona, it does get cold. It could get down to 4 degrees. However, the last week and a half, it's been like 68 degrees, 64 degrees. I mean, it's crazy because usually around this time of year, it's really cold, but we don't get the snow until like January, February. But this year it's been warm and it's nice, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's definitely been like a weird week where you know, walking the dog in shorts and sandals in December is not normal.
Yeah, and see, like I said, we're not going to get as cold as you guys, but we're definitely like Carhartt season. Get the Carhartts on right now, Carhartts and jeans. And I went to work today, and I was wearing short sleeves. I didn't even wear a hoodie. I was like, this ain't December.
Yeah. I mean, the forecast tomorrow, Christmas Day, high of 47, which, call that what you will, Thursday 52. So it's weird not seeing a snowflake in the forecast in you know, almost the end of December. It's crazy. Global warming, I guess, as they say.
55 here.
Almost the same.
Definitely weird.
Yeah, so enjoy your Christmas. You asked me. We usually do, my dad's side of the family, usually somebody hosted Christmas Eve. They had, the tradition was my grandma's lasagna, but everyone turned into snowbirds. So, you know, I have family down in Phoenix, family in Florida. So everyone's kind of scattered now because everyone turned into snowbirds. So not really much on Christmas Eve, unfortunately. So I guess the big day will be Christmas Day, going over to my dad's, see the nieces and nephews, have them open gifts, and then my mom's house around dinner time, 4 o'clock, for that side of the family's nieces and nephews. So there's 8 of them all together.
Nice. Very busy. Sounds fun. Well, Merry Christmas. Very Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thanks for having me. Anytime you guys need me, or if you and Matt want to have me on the show anytime, I'm always here. Yeah, for sure. Once again, Mark, thank you for subbing in this morning, everyone. Have a very Merry Christmas. And if we don't talk to you, Happy New Year.
as well. But hopefully we'll see you before then. But for Mark, I am Michael. We will hopefully talk to you next week. Merry Christmas.
Christmas.